You know that one neighbor who thinks they run the entire neighborhood? The one who acts like their clipboard gives them supreme authority over your life? Well, what if I told you one woman took it so far she ended up in handcuffs on her own perfectly manicured lawn? And the person who called her out? Her victim's wife, working dispatch at 911. We moved into our dream home about 3 months ago, a gorgeous place tucked at the edge of a high-end neighborhood called Oak Ridge Hollow. Technically, we weren't part of the HOA. The property lines were crystal clear, and we had the paperwork to prove it. But someone forgot to tell Karen Wilcox, the self-appointed queen of the Homeowners Association. At first, I thought she was just being neighborly. Clipboard in hand, plastic smile in place, she made her rounds like she was on patrol. But it didn't take long to realize she was casing our house, looking for violations that didn't even apply to us. It started small. Comments about our mailbox, our porch lights, even the flowers on our front steps. Then the notices began showing up. Printed forms tucked under the door, stuffed into the mailbox, even taped to the fence. None of them legally binding, but all worded like official warnings. Every week, she found something new to complain about. Our lawn, our hedges, the way our driveway was edged. She parked her golf cart across our property line while she measured shrubs with a tape measure like some kind of suburban inspector general. And when that didn't get the reaction she wanted, she escalated. First, it was photographs of our home taken at odd hours. Then fake violation slips. And finally, she began circling at night, creeping past with her headlights off, snapping more pictures from the road. We installed a security gate, nothing fancy, just a practical solution to create some distance. But instead of backing off, Karen treated it as a personal insult. The gate became her obsession. She would pull up almost daily, pounding on the buzzer, demanding to be let in under the guise of inspections. She wanted control, and she wasn't getting it. That made her dangerous. It wasn't long before her behavior tipped from nuisance to outright harassment. One morning, after another standoff at the gate, she sped away in her golf cart, only to return minutes later on the phone. Security footage caught her gesturing wildly at our home, pointing toward the windows, pacing like she was directing a scene. Moments later, the alert came through. She had placed a 911 call, and this wasn't just a noise complaint. She fabricated an emergency, claiming violence inside the home, hoping the police would storm the property and humiliate us. What she didn't know was that my wife, Elaine, was the dispatcher on duty that morning. And although protocol kept her from dismissing the call outright, she knew Karen's voice, and she knew the address. Elaine flagged the report as suspicious, documented the history of harassment, and sent officers on a welfare check instead of a full-blown emergency response. She effectively saved us from the chaos Karen was trying to create. When the cruiser arrived, Karen put on a performance for the ages. She met the officers at the curb, waving her arms, pointing at our gate, spinning her story like she was the star of a crime drama. But her plan unraveled almost instantly. Officers were already briefed, aware of her history of false claims. They approached with caution, but instead of treating us as suspects, they treated her as the problem. And in front of her perfectly groomed lawn, with half the neighborhood peeking from behind curtains, the mask slipped. Karen's scheme collapsed under the weight of her own lies. The officers confronted her with the evidence, recorded calls, notes of previous incidents, and her reputation for stirring up false alarms. And in that moment, she went from self-appointed neighborhood ruler to a liability in the eyes of the law. They placed her under arrest for filing false reports and abusing emergency services. The sight of her in handcuffs, sputtering in disbelief, was the moment her reign of intimidation ended. It turned out Karen's harassment extended far beyond our household. In the weeks that followed, other residents began to speak up. Stories surfaced of her intimidation tactics, threats, and endless harassment campaigns. At an emergency HOA meeting, she was stripped of her title unanimously. No one defended her. For years, she had thrived on fear, but the second someone stood firm, the facade crumbled. In court, her behavior was laid bare. The evidence spoke for itself. Recorded calls, documentation, and testimony from multiple neighbors. The judge came down hard: a $5,000 fine, a year of probation, 200 hours of community service, and a restraining order keeping her well away from our property. Just like that, the self-proclaimed Queen of Oak Ridge Hollow fell from power. Her clipboard, her rules, her little empire, it all meant nothing once the law stepped in. All because she chose the wrong family to target, and because the one person she underestimated the most, a dispatcher with a headset, was the one who pulled the rug out from under her. So if you've ever had a neighbor who thought they ruled the block, just remember, bullies crumble when you shine a light on them. Karen learned that the hard way, in front of the whole neighborhood. Subscribe for more wild neighborhood drama and true stories you won't believe actually happened.